Welcome to Fran Opps, powered by Business Alliance Incorporated. This is the podcast where entrepreneurs and business owners come to explore the world of franchising with clarity and confidence. Hosted by franchise consultant Jared Nassiff, we're here to help you discover the right franchise opportunities, avoid common pitfalls, and build a business you're proud of.
Hey, elite entrepreneurs and empire builders, man, I am so excited for today. I really am. I include this into kind of the conversations that we have going on inside our Facebook group too. So this is exciting. Today, you're going to hear a story about a brand that was formed really out of personal experience and a deep compassion for people. If you're looking for a brand or a franchise that is focused on people over profit, not that profit isn't involved, but it's focused on people, this very well may be the one for you, right? So this brand, a Place at Home, is in an industry. I just want to say this first before I bring in our guest today. It's in an industry that has experienced incredibly massive growth. That we're seeing somewhere around like 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day, and that's not going to slow down. That's not going to change. So you're looking at an industry here that literally is not going to go out of business, is all kinds of economic and recession resistant, pandemic resistant. There is a desperate need for this. It's going to continue to grow. And so most people, what's interesting about senior care is most people they want to age at home, right? They don't want to go off to someplace they've never lived or not familiar with, or some big box facility or whatever. They want to be able to grow and age in the place that they know and love and call home, or something similar to that, right? And what's interesting when I talk to a lot of people interested in franchising is a lot of them don't realize the financial upside of this specific industry. A lot of times when we think about franchising, right, we think about some of the QSR, the quick service places. We think of fast foods. We think of things like Starbucks or McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or Taco Bell or Burger King. And what's interesting is that we think about those things and we wonder how much money they really make and how much you have to invest into it. And I'm like, you're wasting your time looking at these kind of concepts if you're looking for a low barrier of entry for incredibly high potential profit margin. So, for example, when we're talking about senior care, the average franchisee across the space right now is doing somewhere around $1.5 million, right? So you could essentially, if that's the case, you could essentially invest into a franchise like a Place at Home for the same price that you could or at a much lower cost than you could with like a Taco Bell. A Taco Bell price point is like $1.6 million to get into, and that's about what they're making. So you could make the same amount by opening a Taco Bell as you could with something like this, but do something far more profound with your money, put your money to work. And so I'm excited about this and excited to bring on my man, Mitchell. So let's welcome him in. Mitch Benson, yeah, everyone's cheering, everyone's clapping, they're hollering, they're hooting right now. It's crazy. They're excited, man. I'm excited to have you on to kind of get to know a little bit more about you and really more about the brand, A Place at Home, APAH.
Yes.
So it's gonna be good stuff, man. Let's man, I'm excited for you to be here. So
yeah,
tell me a little bit for you right now. If I'm remembering right, like you're in the Midwest as well, right? You're in Omaha, aren't you? So it's like, did you guys just get hit yesterday with the crazy amount of snowstorm, right?
Oh my gosh, we did. So we're not just right across the Missouri River, right here in Omaha, in eastern Nebraska. And I tell you, most of our state, that snowstorm was the size of Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
But of course, it dumped on Iowa too. I mean, it's been wild out here in the plains.
Oh, it's crazy. We got 1.5 feet, and we're supposed to get another 6 inches or so in the next 24 hours. So crazy. No main insight. But
for all our Florida viewers,
you
know, we're at 24 degrees right now out here in Nebraska and Iowa. So, you know.
Yeah. We were just talking to a couple of clients, one in Florida and one in San Diego area earlier this week. I was like, man, I wish.
It must be nice, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, Mitch, welcome to Franchise Opportunities. Welcome to the Facebook group as well. And so just excited to hear a little bit more about this brand and put it in front of a group truly of elite entrepreneurs. This is a group chock full of individuals who are just some incredible business acumen. The conversation I'm having with people, it's like you have some incredible stories in here. People wanting to do something incredible with their one life that they're given, right? And I think this is a really good opportunity for them to look at. So let's just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and about your story as a whole, because you're the guy that most of these entrepreneurs are going to be talking to, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited to be on today's stream and the videos going after this, because I am the franchise development manager here at A Place at Home. Right. I report to the co-founders who proudly continue to run our business. They're literally right over here, right next to me in this office. And, why not start with conversations with me? Because that's the first person all of our prospects and individuals, elite business builders, are going to talk to. They're going to talk to me. It's going to sound a whole lot like this. And I promise I'm going to use all of these hand gestures, even on the phone. It's going to look the same, right?
Yeah.
And
so how did you get to so you're the franchise developer, right, for A Place at Home. So what does that mean, and how did you get to that role?
Yeah, I would say, my path has always been through sales, right? I've really enjoyed working with people, discovering solutions. It used to be products for the longest time. Before franchising, I was heavily into music, right? And I sold guitars and music stores, managed this and that, had a lot of fun in instrument sales, right? And sitting down with somebody with any number of pieces of gear and just making it happen, turning it up loud is my favorite thing to do. But it's working with people. It's tactile. We can put our hands on it. We can try some things and really have a conversation and get to know people. And so when I went a little away from that and started working with purchase orders and ordering things overseas and stuff like this, it definitely gave me a boost in what I needed to look at. But I got away from people, right? And that was unfortunate. I needed to get back. And so I found an opportunity in June 2020 to partner, to come into the business with Jared Nassiff and his co-founder, Dustin DiStefano, here at A Place at Home. So it's been over 3.5 years in this role as the franchise developer. And what that means, right, to everybody on the call today, is that I get to tell the story of what everybody's doing here at A Place at Home, right? And help connect what we do here to what you need to achieve in your goals in that one life you're given. And I love the word you used earlier, profound, right? There's a lot of ways. I think getting into business ownership is one of the most profound things you can embark on. Might as well match that intensity with what we're offering in your business, right? People taking care of people, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so that kind of brings us to, the brand itself, right? Right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about it and the story too. So you mentioned Dustin and Jared. They're the co-founders of A Place at Home. Tell us a little bit about A Place at Home and its story too. Like how did it become what it is?
Right. It's funny. You either have, natural born entrepreneurs who this is the only thing they're ever going to do, or you have folks who just kind of found themselves in it. Right.
That's right.
And I would say Jared and Dustin, responded to needs in their own families and just found themselves into it. Right. Building careers in enterprise rent-a-car, in real estate, in and out of Nebraska, seemed to be the way their lives were going until the normal path of elder care didn't work for them anymore, right? They were essentially taking care of their loved ones themselves, right? Many of the entrepreneurs in this group here may resonate with the term the sandwich generation, right? This is us raising our young kids while also being responsible for our parents' care, right? And depending on your age group, you may then also be responsible for your grandparents' care, right? That's where Jared and Dustin found themselves. They grew up with their grandparents, big forces in their own lives. And when they needed the grass cut, Jared popped over, right? When we needed to take some errands, Dustin was there, right? And that just happened to be how it all worked, which is our first choice in any kind of senior care situation. But as our kids started to grow, as our careers took off, there became less and less of us available to people who needed more and more, right? And so they did what many families who call us do. They search around. What's the solution here, right? I would say an interesting piece of our industry is that almost all buyers or clients react to something, right?
Okay.
It's something that happened to them. Okay. There's not a whole lot of shopping around or, kind of thinking in the future. It's honestly a very fast-paced, solution-based, quick solution, right? It's like something happened yesterday. I don't know what to do. This is the first time I ever thought about this. I'm calling a bunch of people, right? So Jared and Dustin do this. They call around.
That makes total sense.
Right? It definitely is. So when we have conversations with folks, in the group here about brand recognition and identity, those things are important, but it's brand accessibility that I find to be more important. How
So
easy is it to talk to someone?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the kind of service
Mm.
that a place at home provides, and what makes it
Yeah.
like? I mean, there really are not. There's a handful of really successful proven concepts in the senior care industry
Mm.
space,
Mhm.
right? So what kind of services does a
Yeah.
place at home provide, and
Mhm.
like how is that unique comparatively to other brands?
Mhm. Right. And when we think of the services that we provide here, we have a good idea already. Right? When I talk to folks, I say, look, it's stuff that you and I can do. Right? And I usually say that because we probably have done it. Right? We probably have been that person who
Yeah,
like helps grandpa out of the chair. Right? We need to get into the car. Right? That's a
yeah,
dangerous proposition for folks. If things go a step further, we're helping individuals in and out of the restroom. Right? All
mm,
of this is essentially describing companionship, or what some salesmen from Omaha could do, right? Hands
yeah,
off kinds of care, as well as personal care. This is hands on,
mm,
typically provided by certified nurses assistants, right? They kind
yeah,
of in and out of the restroom care, things like this, right?
right,
Um, that's an established vertical. That kind of care has been around for decades, right? And like you say, there are strong concepts proven in the business, right? Uh, what I think makes this brand unique and what the client gets themselves uh, is our focus on multiple revenue streams, right? If
okay,
talking about senior care, and that's a big thing. But
yeah,
naturally, what's going to happen is that you will become the de facto referral source for multiple services that that family needs from you, right? If
huh, okay,
think of this, we're going to the hospital, right? And the client calls you, or the client's family member calls you and says, Jared, tell you what, I know dad's going to the hospital today. Can you go with him and just tell me what the doctor says? Whenever I call dad, he says it went fine. Don't worry about it, right? I'd like to know a little bit more. Can we engage in care coordination or a
yeah,
consultative service to help me understand what's happening with the healthcare professionals of my dad, right? If perhaps that goes a step further and we need to move out of the home and into assisted living.
yeah,
So many solutions there. We can help consult through that process and offer placement services. The last thing we get to do here is help out our skilled nursing partners, right, in staffing their skilled nursing facilities with our CNAs. Right?
oh, okay.
Look at that. We're here in the roundhouse, man. We got the levers.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Seriously. So several different verticals and with which a,
Yeah.
franchisee will find success.
Mm.
That's great because usually you only
Yeah.
think of just the a nurse or something in a home and that's it. But
Exactly.
yeah, to come
Mhm.
up with those different verticals too, genius.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit then. So like we get it, right? We get
Yeah.
this is a company, this is an industry, a brand that you have to be passionate about people. You have
Mhm.
to love people. If you
Yeah.
don't, this probably isn't the one for you. There's choose one of the other 4,000 options out there. This one's
Right.
probably not for you, right? But
Yeah.
even still, like that's great. You still can't purchase, you still can't invest just on passion
Mhm.
and care and love alone, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
tell us a little bit about the opportunity itself. Tell us about like what are we talking about when we think about franchise fee and what can they expect in between like their minimum to maximum investment threshold or range to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's always a dollar investment here, and
Yeah.
let's build it from the ground up here. Every franchise you look at has some sort of franchise fee, right?
Mhm.
I have a music background before this, right? So I call it the backstage pass, right? That gets you into the club, gets you into the green room, right? And
Yeah.
introduces you to our training team and all of our know-how, right? Here at a place at home, a single unit franchise fee looks like about $49,500, right?
Okay.
That relates to territories of about 40,000 qualified senior residents, right? Of 40,000 client opportunities, okay,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
geographic zip code clusters, okay.
It's a pretty good sized territory.
I think folks looking at this industry will see anything from 30,000 seniors to 50. They may see total population where that percentage could be any number of potential clients. You're
Yeah.
going to see multiple versions of territory. So what
Yeah.
we found is that 40,000 is the number that you can start with. Geographically speaking, a single office does really well in that service territory, and that's how we want to
Yeah.
start our businesses.
Yeah. That's
But yeah,
great.
yeah.
So is there anything about that like let's say they hear that and they're like, yeah, that seems like a reasonable price point to get into.
Mhm.
What else do they need to qualify to become an owner? Like what are you looking for with an ideal candidate to be a potential a place at home franchisee.
Yeah. Huge, right? You've already touched on the biggest thing that we start with, which is your passion here, right? And I usually ask people, like, what's your connection to senior care, right? And you can imagine if we have it, it's coming out. Like I'm dealing with it right now. I'm calling places around for mom, and I'm like, I could do this, right?
Yeah.
Then we go on to what we just talked about, that financial investment, building on a franchise fee of 50,000, give or take, right? You're looking at about a total $84,000 to $150,000 investment, right? You mentioned fast food earlier, right? I mean, this is, slivers of that
Oh
investment.
yeah, that is so minimal compared to what you
know?
could be investing into with other brands. Yeah.
Yeah. For the upside that exists there too. We'll get into a little bit of that. I mean, the upside is crazy.
Yeah.
I would say after the financial investment, when I'm talking to folks, I say this is a coin with two sides, the investment coin. We, of course, need the financials here, but I want to talk about the time that you invest in this business.
Yes.
Right?
Tell us about that.
Well, in the world of our new franchise environment, there's a lot of options that can essentially call for different amounts of your time, right?
Okay.
The best thing that the elite entrepreneurs in this group can get is a clear cut, this is what I need from you from the franchisor, right?
Yep.
With that in mind, we are specifically recruiting owner operators, kind of. But I don't want to just leave it there, right? Because owner operators is a big investment. This is typically leaving what you're doing before, focusing on this building and scaling it quickly, right? We always say, look, we want to work with owner operators who will be in that driver's seat and will, in less than 12 to 18 months, work towards what we call earned absenteeism, right? I want to scale this business with you. It's earned absenteeism.
Earned absenteeism. I like that.
Yeah. Because it will happen. It's a part of it, right? Call our franchisees. They may be in the office. They might be on vacation. That's what I'm talking about. We can do this, but we've seen success built in this business with full-time levels of commitment early that the business scales and we can earn the absenteeism we got into this in the first place to get for ourselves.
Yeah. Is it a full absenteeism, or is it mostly do you have owners that have gotten there? And I get it. It's hard with franchising to think full absentee, but or most of your owners, have they found success going to a semi, maybe it's a 15-hour a week kind of investment as opposed to 50?
Yeah. I've definitely seen more of our franchisees work toward that semi-absenteeism, right? Yeah. We're still, managing our managers. Maybe we continue to work on some key accounts that we've developed in our marketing strategy. A lot of times we spend executive level energy on retention efforts, right? The holidays were not that far, it was recent, right?
Right.
We had a lot of holiday parties put on by our franchisees and ways to really celebrate the most important piece of this puzzle, our wonderful caregivers, right? So we shift that energy and overall spend less of it as we get into that 18-month, 2-year mark. We get there quick.
Yeah. Right. Good. Okay. And that's important for people to know, because I think a lot of times people get into franchising, they look at different concepts and they're looking for an investment where they can just throw money at it and be completely hands off. Now, with most franchises, that's never going to be the case. I mean, think about it, this is your money, even at 84,000 to 250,000, like even within that range, like that's still a lot of money that like is yours, that you've earned, that this is hard work. Earned money. So like you're just gonna throw money and expect it to be like someone else go take care of it and like to grow your business. It's not gonna be done with the same kind of care and love that you obviously yourself are going to put in. And that's what they need to see. That's what they're wanting to see, is team players who are going to be fully engaged with all that they are, not just their pocketbook, but just who they are as a person. So good. That's awesome, man. Love it. Tell us about what the franchisees you do have. Do you have any specific like success stories or anything that that you can kind of celebrate from current owners?
I do. I have a story. As we were kind of getting ready for this, I was thinking of some of my favorite stories to tell, and it's fairly topical, right? Because I'd love to talk to everybody in the Elite Entrepreneurs Group here about our franchisees in North Texas. That's Joe and Janice Christie, who operate the Plano, Frisco, McKinney market, right, out of Allen, Texas. And first and foremost, Joe and Janice Christie are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, right? You're going to find a lot of that in senior care, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Joe and Janice essentially started their business right before the pandemic, okay? And as the years go on, we're going to see that kind of hall of fame of these, hardcore entrepreneurs who
Sure.
got into stuff right before 2020, right?
Yep.
Joe and Janice were right there, right? Uh, when the pandemic hit, the climate in Texas was different than other places, but they still felt it, right? And ultimately, it slowed their marketing efforts, building our client list, going into areas and referral markets where our seniors were at risk, right?
Yeah.
We oftentimes overlook just the devastation we saw in early COVID,
Mm.
primarily in my age group that I'm trying to serve, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so that was a big deal, and they got it off to a slower than average start, right?
Yep.
Uh, how the franchisor responded to that was start to double down on their coaching. We met with them twice a week. We started talking about this,
Mm.
took apart certain strategies here, called on referral sources, and doubled down on our support investment for Joe and
Wow.
Janice, right?
Yeah.
And what we found is that every franchisee finds a place to shine, right? There's a spotlight shining in the entrepreneur's life, and our job is to get you closer into that, right?
Yeah. Right.
And marketing was maybe not the area we needed to shine in, right? Now we do, but there's so much new business prospecting, kind of front level business development that needs to happen in our space, and that's maybe best suited for some other hired people into your business, right? As
Yeah.
Joe and Janice grew, they made investments in those positions, right? Found themselves closer to their spotlight, right? And have won repeatedly year after year, right? Our most improved franchisee awards, right? To the
Hmm.
tune of this year, Joe and Janice have now won a Franchisee of the Year award through the IFA, the International Franchising Association. They've had countless write ups about them and their success in Texas, given their current status today, right? And this all happened in less than 4
No.
years, right?
No way.
How about that, right? And
That's
I'm just so
incredible.
proud of them. Yeah,
Holy smokes. So you need to drop that link. Well, we'll find that later. Drop that link to that
yeah,
story or a couple of them. I'm sure they're all over the place
yeah,
inside the group or on this post or something later, because that's incredible. To
yeah.
win that award at IFA, that's
Mhm.
nuts.
It's
Good
so
for them.
awesome. We're going to
Good
be
for you
there and
guys too,
celebrate with
because
them.
like you
Yeah,
guys are the ones that provided that support and training all the way through to get them to where they are today. And
yeah.
so there's a unity there in the teamwork. And so it's that's what's going to bring that success. So,
Yes,
which is the
absolutely.
beauty of franchising when done right, which
Yes.
we all know there's so many practices that are not done right, but when done right, like that kind of coming together is what really does
Yeah.
lead to success. So
Mhm. Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
man. That's
I'm so,
awesome.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you said that, and I think too about some of the cultures that I see here. Like
Yeah.
here I am getting to tell that story of Joe and Janice. The folks who told that story the loudest are their fellow franchisees, right? If you
Right.
hopped into our, constant 24-hour chat, it's
Yeah.
goes, go Joe and Janice, go Joe and Janice, boom, 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 from Arkansas, from
That's
Portland,
awesome.
Oregon. Everybody is there to lift each other up. There's a business
Yeah.
sense to do that. This brand grows when everyone succeeds, but there's also
Yeah.
just the culture we've built a place at home that everybody
Wow.
wants to see everybody else do well.
It's awesome when I get to talk to emerging brands like yourself, or brands that, have the sky's the limit for them. Like they haven't been around for 20, 30 years. They don't have thousands or 10,000s of units across the nation because they have such an understanding and focus on community.
Yeah.
That is lost in some of the for a lot of the big name brands, you're just a cog in the wheel. If you don't succeed, big deal.
Yeah.
You're just one of tens of thousands of other units and thousands of other franchisees. But with a brand like yours, it's like, no, this is our family, and we're going to treat it as such. So
Absolutely.
incredible. I love that,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So, but even still, with all that to say, right? Like we've mentioned this a couple times. We've talked a little bit about the potential profit and the growth that can come, the investment potential that can come from investing into a place at home franchise. At the end of the day, right? Like just as much as you can't pay for something with passion, you also can't like provide for your family with love and care like that either. That'd be awesome if that's all it took.
Right.
But it really comes down to, this is awesome. If the dollars are there, then why would we not look into this more? So can you share a little bit more about like the financial side of that, like without necessarily making, of course, no false claims made, of course, but tell us a little bit about what they could potentially expect, or is there an ROI that you can kind of share with us as well?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a short story and a long story, right?
Yeah.
the short story here is that everybody in this group, right, has probably dealt with the franchise disclosure document at one point or another, or
Mhm.
you're about to.
Yep.
And when you get in there, this question can be illustrated in that document, right? You're going to
And
find
Mitch,
any,
and Mitch, and Mitch, if
yeah,
you can, I think yes, but even still, there's going to be some that probably are not familiar with franchise disclosure
right.
document. I know a lot of people
That's
I'm
okay.
talking to.
Okay.
That's not something that is something that they're it's foreign to them.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit
Okay.
real quick about what that is, and then get into it?
Yeah. The franchise disclosure document is an annual document all franchisees must register in the United States to properly disclose information pertinent to the investment that I'm talking to you about. Right?
Yes.
I sometimes talk about the 50s and the early 60s, the boom of franchising, where
Yeah.
anybody with a bucket of chicken might tell you anything you needed to hear to buy their franchise, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened then, but we have so much more in the way of consumer protection today that
Yeah.
what we get to do is write that all down, run it through a series of regulators, and be sure the investment that we discuss has
Yeah.
enough supporting information for you to feel comfortable about it, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Awesome. Thank you.
that's in the FDD, okay? Uh, Otherwise, the longer term, the franchise disclosure document, okay? And when we dive into that, right, when we see what that kind of consumer protection document may share with us, we as franchisors get a place within that document to be very specific about what your return may be on this investment, right?
Hmm.
Now, I get a lot of freedom as to what I put in that space within
Yeah.
the FDD, right? And of course, here's my short story, or at least I'm trying, when we get a chance to speak, right? When we come into the Mitch world of a place at home, what you'll
Yeah.
find in our FDD is one of the most robust, transparent item 19s, or the area where we get to talk about returns, right?
Hmm.
We're talking full P&Ls, right, here for
Yeah.
our businesses, okay? Uh, you may not find that in other brands and other verticals. So when we get to that place, you're going to see a lot of information from them, okay? But that's when we start making earnings claims, and we'll wait for that moment where we have all of that information there. But I have another way to kind of think about this. We talked a lot about time, and my CEO, Dustin DeStefano, he likes to really kind of relate your first 36 months in the business, right? Your first 3 years to essentially year one, year two, year three, right? Where year one is all 4 seasons in a day, right? You and I are in the plains, right? We know what seasons are like. They're all over the place, right?
Right.
That's entrepreneurship. You build a business in your first year, and just about everything that's going to happen probably will in your
Yep.
first year, right?
Mhm.
And it's very exciting, right? We need to see that that's risky, that's fun. You're really you're betting on yourself. And that first year all kind of comes together, right? But as we get into that 12-month period into your second year, right, we are organizing all of the experience that you jam packed into this 12 months with us, and we're organizing in our second years, right? That's where I start to see schedulers come on. I'm more specific to senior care. I'm starting to see office staff come on and take apart some of the responsibilities you managed in your first year. And you're starting to delegate into your organization, right? This is when we get to take that vacation, right? We're not missing hockey games for our kids anymore, right? We're right there. And into our third year, 24 to 36 months, we hit some of these numbers you mentioned early on, some of those average numbers, right? And now we're executing the model, right? We are a firm force to be reckoned with. We probably have dozens of clients at this point. We're going to talk more about what those numbers are, but we hit that level, right, where we're executing the model in years 2 to 3, where we can earn that absenteeism for ourselves, right? Our marketers are in the assisted livings. Our recruiters are talking to caregivers. Schedules are being maintained and addressed if problems arise. And we are in that executive level managing the business, right? That's 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
We're moving quickly here, and we want to build those
Right.
businesses as fast as possible, faster than we've seen in the market so far.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's all there, right? It's an
Yeah.
industry, it's not going away. The financial gain, the potential there is all there. The community, the teamwork, the support, the brand, it's all proven. It's all there. So tell me though, like if you had one chance, right? You got one shot to speak directly to someone who's listening right now or at a later date, whether they're watching this in the group or someone to share this with them or they're seeing it on YouTube later down the road. If there's someone on the fence right now, you're talking to them through the camera and they're about investing into your brand as a franchisee, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say to them, I would say, look into yourself, right? And if you see that your professional background has that little bit of hustle that you're giving away to your employer, right? that you've had
Yes.
that personal experience with senior care and it hits home, right?
Yes.
You're thinking that a full transition into an owner operator role is at least in the ballpark for you, right?
Yeah.
And you've done the hard work of earning yourself the financial viability to make an investment on yourself. And with
Yep.
wide open space to grow in the United States, then please come talk to a place at home.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. So good. Mitch, this was fantastic. I love talking about brands that excite me too. And so it's awesome stuff, man. I sincerely appreciate your time more than you realize. I am so pumped to see what happens next with a place at home and to see even from inside this group, this is going to go all over the states and beyond. You know, who knows where this is just the starting place. So I'm excited for it. If you or someone you know is looking into or is excited about this brand, this concept, and wants to learn more and wants to see if you qualify to even start a conversation with them or what that would look like, I just dropped the link there in the comments to your starting place. So that's your very first step. Go there and we will begin a conversation, kind of say, hey, is this a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for them? That is crucial to being able to really kind of get the wheels spinning on looking at potential ownership with any franchise, including a top brand like a place at home. So go and begin there, do that now, and we'll get the conversation going. I'll reach out to you directly. I'll connect you to Mitch if this is a good fit, and we'll get you started on your journey today as well. Man, again, Mitch, one last time, thank you so much, brother, for your time. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Jared, thank you so much for everything you're doing in this group and for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, Mitch. All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with anyone who's ready to take that next step in franchise ownership. For more resources and personalized franchise guidance, visit us online at businessallianceinc.com. Let's help you franchise your future. See you next time.